Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty and the Frizz. My name is Karen. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me for another video today. I didn't say it in my mimosas and makeup from Sunday, but Happy New Year. I hope that this new year really brings something special to all of us. And I know it hasn't had the greatest start, but you know, we just have to take things one day at a time and just find joy whenever you can. And one of the areas where I have found a lot of joy is in this channel and with just discovering makeup and playing with it and figuring out what I like and don't like. It's been one of my highlights these past 2 years, as well as connecting with you all. I think that it has been so special, and I'm always so surprised because this is not something that I could have imagined myself doing, but now that I'm doing it, I can't imagine not doing it, if that makes sense. So what I want to talk about today are just some goals I have for 2022 in regards to makeup, spending, and things along those lines. So if you want to hear the goals that I have, keep watching this video. Let me know what you think. Please share some of your goals down in the comments. And if makeup is your therapy and your passion and your love, and you want to connect with another makeup enthusiast, definitely consider joining the community because I would love to have you back. We would love to have you back. All right, let's get started. So I am still recovering from having COVID. I am still a bit winded and I don't like that, but I'm thankful that I'm feeling better, and I might call the doc tomorrow to just see if there's anything that he can give me to help with that. I am supposed to be going back to work tomorrow, which will be Monday, but I am still waiting on my boys to get their test results back. So I am gonna call out because I can't send them knowing that they had a direct exposure, and I'm not 100% sure, you know, where they stand. So looks like I have another day, but I am doing okay, and I'm grateful. That's all I can really say. I don't feel 100%, but I'm grateful, and I know this cough and feeling is going to be lingering, and I just have to just continue to keep on keeping on. That's all I can really do. So I have some goals, just things that I've been thinking of, and I put them in my phone because I think about a lot of things at night, and I just don't want to forget. So I have 6 goals in here, and if there's anything I forgot, I'm going to just go ahead and throw those in. But let's just go ahead and get started on the first goal. My first goal for this year, and I've actually started this already, is to change up the content that I watch on YouTube. I watch a lot of review channels. I watch a lot of content about new, what's coming out. This just came out. I got this in PR. I got that in PR. Everything has been just focused on what is coming out and what's the latest and greatest product. And I've cut back on a lot of that. I have been watching more channels that are makeup artist channels. One of my favorites that I've been watching is Andreea. When I'm watching content that is done by makeup artists, like even like Eldridge, I've been watching her channel. I've watched Hendash here and there. They don't care what kind of makeup you have. You can have drugstore, you can have luxury, you can have high-end. I mean, it doesn't matter. When they're talking about technique, when they're talking about product placement, types of brushes, they're not mentioning the latest and greatest. And I've gone back, and with Andreea, who is like one of my favorites that I've been watching her videos like from years ago, and they are still absolutely relevant to me today. And when I see the makeup that she's pulling out, it's not all the new stuff. It could be whatever you have. So I can practice a technique with any type of blush. It could be Wet n Wild. It could be Chanel. It doesn't matter. And I've really appreciated these channels so much lately because I really want to get good at my makeup technique. That is why I started watching YouTube in the first place. I started watching YouTube because I didn't understand why my eyeshadow would never come out right. And I realized that it was because I had hooded eyes. And then I just started watching different channels, Mel Thompson, Alyssa Ashley, Nakia Joy, just people that had hooded eyes or had a specific technique to help so that I can improve my technique. And that's where it all started. So I really want to get back into that. Again, they don't care what kind of makeup you have. And even though no one wants to be labeled as an influencer, or maybe some people do, I don't really want to have that term because I'm more of an enthusiast. They're not selling me anything. They're not linking anything. It is just purely about the love and the joy of makeup. And don't get me wrong, I even have stuff linked. So I'm not saying that I don't watch that content anymore, but I need to have a better mix because if you saw my eyeshadow collection video, eyeshadow is the thing for me. And I'm looking now like, how could I have accumulated so much? But it's really not hard to do if the content that you're consuming is showing you everything out there that's new. You know what I mean? I picked up brands that weren't even on my radar, you know? And that goes also into social media as well. I want to follow people that are doing more tutorials, you know, focusing more on technique, product placement, all of those things, instead of this is what's new, this is what's new, this is what's new. I am still gonna look at those sites like Trend Mood and things like that, but there is going to be so much more of a balance, and there actually has been towards the end of 2021, like for the month of December. I just felt more of a balance, and I really enjoy going to sleep, like just listening to like Robert Wells, Andreea Ali, just talk about different things regarding makeup. That's kind of where I am right now. And I feel really, really good about it. Let me know what you think. Who have you been watching lately? I've also been watching a lot of Hanna Louise Poston. If you're not familiar with her, and I'll mention her later on in one of my other goals, but she did a year-long no-buy a few years back, and she documented the whole thing. She is very, very, very thorough. And when she does review a product, it is a seriously thorough scientific review. Like, you're gonna really feel confident about purchasing something or not after watching her videos. But she also gives a lot of insight into compulsive shopping and why she was doing those things, what she thought she was getting out of doing those behaviors. And I see a lot of those behaviors in myself. While I don't feel like I need to go on a strict no buy, I definitely am feeling a low buy and just a more curated, just, you know, you're gonna have to go through some stuff to get up in my collection for this year. I just don't want to add so much. I want to be able to enjoy the things I have without feeling the pressure of having to review something or use something that I added and I'm like, oh my God, I can't waste my money. Like, I got to use this, and then I don't use the other things that I enjoy. That eyeshadow collection video I did, especially laying out those Pat McGrath palettes, I was just like, girl, you have it all. Like, you don't need to try all these new formulas because they're really not new. And you've tried the best of the best, and you have a lot of great brands in your collection, in your arsenal. So I don't need to keep adding a whole bunch of new brands and new formulas into my collection. Overall, my first goal of changing my YouTube content that I consume is going to be super important. It's going to be a great strategy for me to just broaden how I apply my makeup and to just use the things that are already in my collection in order to improve my technique. So that's goal number one. My second goal, I've already started on this as well. It's to create a makeup inventory. And I started with the toughest category, which were my eyeshadow palettes. So currently I do own 247 eyeshadow palettes. Some of these palettes are going to be given away or decluttered, but that is what I own right now. I do need to comb through my collection again and see what else besides what I already put aside that I think would be much more loved by someone else. My friend Jamie really made a great point, and there was another one of my friends that was in my eyeshadow palette chat. When you do decide to be a collector of a brand, I don't know if I look at those as frivolous purchases, but I don't regret my Pat McGrath palettes. I don't regret my Natasha Denona palettes. And I don't regret my Melt Cosmetics palette or my Unearthly Cosmetics palettes or my Kaleidos palettes. Now, Kaleidos doesn't have as big of a collection as obviously Pat McGrath or Natasha Denona. But there are certain brands that I know I truly enjoy having in my collection, and anytime that I decide to pull them out, I'm never gonna look at that palette twice and be like, why did I get this? Like, I'm not gonna feel like that about Pat McGrath. Not even the Utopian Scheme. I'm not even gonna feel like that about that palette. I don't feel like that. There's just a different feeling that I have about certain brands, and maybe those are the brands that I need to stick to. Trying a whole bunch of brands I think is great, but as I was saying with goal number one, there really aren't that many special formulas that I haven't tried at this point. And if your collection is not super extensive, you don't need to make it extensive. You like what you like. I think trying a palette here and there or trying a new brand is great. And I'm not saying that I'll not try a new brand. That's not true. But just the amount of what I brought in was just it was too much. And there's no way that I would be able to get through. I'm not gonna pan anything, but there's no way I'm even getting to use all the palettes that I bought. It's to the point where I forget that I bought certain things. And that's just not something that I'm personally okay with. So I do know that I need to have a little bit more discipline and make that change. And so my themes right now, I've done so much with organization just in my life in general in 2021. And already starting that makeup inventory has shown that, my organization is improving. So for 2022, I want everything logged, everything. And because eyeshadow palettes are the culprit, that's what I started with first. And I'm really proud. It's just a regular Excel spreadsheet. It's nothing fancy at all. It's just by brand and the name of the palette. And it's just a way where I don't have to go through all these drawers. I can just look there and see what I have. So the makeup inventory is definitely a goal. And I've started it, but I want to make sure that I keep up with it, because it's easy at the beginning of the year to be like, I'm turning over a new leaf, I'm doing this, and you're kind of gung-ho, but it's sustaining it. And so my goal is to sustain that inventory and sustain that YouTube content that I'm choosing to watch. Number 3, I want to stick to my makeup budget. As I said, I'm not going on a strict no buy, but I definitely want to save more money in general, because I have other goals and financial goals that I'd like to achieve. And I can't just have this collection of makeup to show for the hard-earned money that I make. I don't really make much from this channel. So it's like, I really need to keep things in perspective. Last year, I got myself a Cash App card, and I was doing really good with putting an allotted amount on the card each month. But when holiday came, it just kind of went out of the window. It was a good 5 months. I would say, around November, things just started to launch, and I was like, oh, I'll take this from next month. And then it just spiraled a bit out of control. And again, that wasn't the duration of the year, but it was definitely the end of the year. And, I just want to be a little more accountable and know where my money's going and what do I have to show for it. Sticking to a budget is going to be imperative for me, because it is going to make me think a bit more about what I choose to buy. Because if I spend my whole budget at the beginning of the month, if something comes out at the end of the month, I'm not going to be able to buy it. And I need to not give myself that and be like, oh, well, you didn't know. The reality is there's going to be a bunch of launches, but I need to start to anticipate the brands that I'm looking for, so that I have them on my radar, and that I'm not just blowing my budget on January 1st, for example. And I didn't, but there's some things I'm looking at, and I'm just like, and they're not eyeshadow palettes, honestly, but there's some things I'm thinking about, and I just want to think what is this doing? What is this going to add to my collection? Because I'm not buying things for review purposes at this point. So I just need to think about it. Am I going to use it when I'm not doing a YouTube video? Thinking about those things I think are going to be really important, and sticking to that budget no matter what is going to be imperative for me. So that's goal number 3. I'm about to say rule number 3. So goal number 4 kind of goes with number 3. It's just, hold on, my kids are watching YouTube and it's really loud. Hold on. Sorry about that. So goal number 4 is to set boundaries as to what I'm going to allow into my collection. I've already talked about my palette problems. An eyeshadow palette that I purchased this year, I mean, I don't know what it will take, but like right away I saw the Blends Bunnies Dollhouse palette and I'm like, ooh, I haven't tried her shimmers. Ooh, it's a neutral palette. Like I didn't really like the look of the Surge palette too much, and Blends is great, but it's not something I'm reaching for every day. But it's great. It's a great palette too, but it's all matte. So I'm like, ooh, the Dollhouse one would be perfect. And then I really sat and thought about it. And then I'm like, oh, it's only $45. But I've thought and thought about it. And I'm just like, no, you really don't need it at all. Like you don't need any eyeshadow. And I think it's a beautiful color story. And I would highly recommend that if you don't have any of the Blends palettes, like if you want to try it, I think it's going to be great. But it's not going to be great for me. And that's what I need to start thinking about. Like, what is this going to add to my collection, this vast collection of eyeshadow that I have? And if I really can't think about it, if I really can't pinpoint that, then I need to be strong enough to say no. I literally need to get on my spreadsheet, look at those palettes, and be like, what is adding another palette to this spreadsheet doing for you or for your collection, and how often are you going to use it? Are you buying something just for the thrill and that feeling of you're going to get something or something's going to arrive? What is that really doing? The answer is nothing. It's doing nothing. It's going to lead to just makeup regrets, and it's just not where I want to be. I do feel like overall I had to get to this point in order to kind of turn this corner, because I kind of have that obsessiveness about anything that I become interested in. It doesn't just have to be makeup. It could be books, it could be clothes, it could be anything. For some reason, the eyeshadow palettes have been the hardest for me to resist. For example, like I love Adidas. Adidas is one of my favorite brands, shoes and clothing. You know, Beyonce has had several launches during the pandemic, and every time I'm like, I really want something. Now I always miss the launch, but this one that she just did, there's a lot of stuff in stock on the site, and I'm like, where am I gonna wear these shoes? Like, I have shoes that I haven't even worn yet because I just go to work. I can't do this. And it's easy for me to say no. It's easy for me to build a cart of clothes and be like, oh, I really don't want these. Like, I have all this stuff I haven't worn. The eyeshadow palettes and the makeup has been challenging for me. So I just know I have to work a little bit harder with it. With setting boundaries for items that enter my collection, I want to also make sure that I'm not buying things on sale just because they're on sale. I have been so guilty of that because people have overall, I think, been buying less makeup, and now these brands are literally pushing sales down our throats. Look at Pat McGrath. Look at Melt Cosmetics with the holiday collection. Like, they launched that collection at a discount. It's like they're just shoving it. Melt sent like 5 emails a day. Like, they pushed that palette down our throats to the point where I don't even think about using it, because it's just like, it really cheapened that collection for me. And it was just like, okay. And it's a really nice palette, but I can't do that. ColourPop has been one of the main culprits of me buying things just because they're on sale, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, I could have all these palettes to make content about. And then when I get the palettes, I'm not even inspired by them. I'm just like, why did you even buy this? Why? Because it was $10? Anything is a waste, no matter what price it is, if you're not going to use it. And I won't just get the one ColourPop palette that I wanted, like that Tinkerbell one. I ended up getting like 6 palettes, and they're just sitting there because I have not touched them at all. And with ColourPop, you can't even really make your money back from ColourPop or Macari or anything like that, because ColourPop has so many sales. Like, there's no point of me even reselling that stuff on Mercari. It's a waste. It's a waste of my money and my time. So, and it just sits there, and then I look at it and I'm just like reminded, and then I just end up giving it away. That's what's going to end up happening, because I do need the space. Sales aren't always good, and a lot of the brands that I've been into lately don't even have sales, like Lisa Eldridge. So I don't feel bad. I'll be like, okay, like with things like that, it's like, oh, okay, I can maybe get 2 lipsticks. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to go on sale. And then, you know, maybe a little bit down the road, I can get 2 more, something like that. Like I have to be a little more careful. So, but the ColourPop brands and things like that, Juvia's Place, like they have gotten me several times last year. And I am going to put my foot down about it. Now, I do love my Child palette, my Mandalorian palette. There's some ColourPop palettes that I really do like, but I don't have to have the ColourPop collection that I do, because they release every single week and it becomes very annoying. There are other products by ColourPop that I really do like besides the eyeshadows, like their lip liners and their eyeliners. I think I'm going to just stick to those this year if I need to replace anything, but I'm gonna really lay low on the eyeshadow palettes in these collections, because they're forgotten the next week when they release 2 more collections. Sometimes they're doing 2 collections in a week. It's insane. So setting those boundaries is gonna be really, really important. And I already see myself, I'm gonna have to set a boundary with lipstick, because I kind of moved from eyeshadow to lipstick just to get my mind off the eyeshadow. But the reality is that this is just a type of personality that I have. It's kind of obsessive and like kind of an addictive personality. So that's what I need to tackle. It really isn't even about the makeup. It's about the discipline. It's about the thought process, and it's about where I am mentally. So you may or may not be able to relate to that, but I'm just sharing where I am. So that was number 4. I actually have 7. I have 7 goals. Number 5, no more pre-orders. I'm over it. I'm done with them. That really pertains more to indie makeup, and I love indie makeup, but I'm over the pre-orders. I'm tired of it. If I can't just order it and you send it out, if it's gonna take months, no. I don't care how pretty it is. Glaminatrix had a Sandra Rose palette. Like I think it was a mini version of one of their other palettes, and it was really pretty. I wasn't sure about the color story for me, but when I found out it was a pre-order and it wasn't going to ship until like February or March or something of this year, I was like, oh, I'm not even looking at it. I don't really care, because a lot of times when those palettes take a long time to come, by the time I get it, I'm like, the hype has died down, and content creators that get those types of palettes in PR, they've already reviewed them. So it's like, I'm not even compelled to film with them. So like, what's the point? I don't really care. I didn't order the latest Adept palette because it was a pre-order. I'm not ordering any eyeshadow singles. I'm done with eyeshadow singles. I didn't even put that on this list, but I gave up on the eyeshadow singles probably October, November of last year. I was just like, I'm not doing this, because my friend Kelly and I had to start a whole series to use the eyeshadow singles. So I don't need to add any more. That's where the build your own palettes came from. So I'm just not doing that. I'm just not. I'm not reaching for them every day. Like I did go into my Cleona shades to just add an inner corner highlight to this shade, but I just can't, and they're too expensive. They're too expensive to just not use. So pre-orders are a no. More of the mainstream brands don't have that, and honestly, I hate to say it, but I'm being real with who I am. I need instant gratification. Like I'd prefer to just go to the store and get some things, but I just have the Sephora that's in the JCPenney's that are like the closest to me, and I'm not going to stores like that. So if I can't really get it from Sephora or Macy's or Ulta or something like that, or if it's not from an indie brand that I know is just gonna send it out, I'm not getting it. So that's it. Now I'm over it. So that's number 5. All right, number 6, just 2 more. I want to understand more about ingredients that go into makeup, mainly skincare. I have been, getting a little more into skincare over the past year, and I really enjoy learning about what different acids or oils what those things do for your skin and what they do for different skin types. And I would like to be able to speak a little bit more about that in regards to the skincare products that I use, because I do think that knowing those things will, number one, allow me to be more informed about what products I think are going to work for me and my skin. But I think it would be very helpful to you all, like to know, like, this has this in it in case you have dry skin, or this has this in it in case you have oily skin. This will help with that, or this will help with redness. So I am really getting into that. So I have been watching, again, more content dealing with makeup artists, people who know about skincare, because I want to be more knowledgeable. I'd like to be a channel where you feel like I know what I'm talking about, you know, and sometimes I feel like I don't, because this has just been an ongoing journey. But I'd like to put a little more effort into understanding ingredients and how that impacts the performance of the product on different skin types. So that is number 6. And number 7, I'm taking from Hanna Louise Poston, who I mentioned earlier. And one of the things she talked about with her no-buy that is a very helpful strategy is to think about the things that you used to do before you became really into makeup, or really. She encouraged us to think about the things that we used to do before we were really into makeup, or before we were into compulsive shopping. So I really had to sit and think about it, like, well, what else do I like? And one thing I like doing is reading, but I don't have time to read. So I'm thinking about getting back on Audible and really just going back into that part of my life, because I love to read and I love to learn. Just like I want to put effort into learning more about makeup application and technique and ingredients, I love reading. I do. But it's more going to be on Audible, because I do so much multitasking. That's why actually reading physical books kind of fell by the wayside. And when I do sit down and really try to read, I really have concentration issues, because I'm always thinking about something else that I could be doing. But reading or just consuming material, whether it's reading it or, you know, listening to it, is going to be really good for me to get back into. I don't want to say I enjoy working out, but I do like to work out, and that kind of went by the wayside a little bit towards the end of the year, and definitely now, because I'm out of breath a lot. I love music. I really do. And I used to listen to music a lot. I still do listen to music a lot. I'm not going to say that I don't, but there are just some other things that I could get into. You know, I love singing. I enjoy cooking. So those are just some things that I do want to get back into, because I can't do this. And when I decided that I was going to curb my spending habits right before the new year, like, I was scouring the internet for things to buy. Like, it wasn't gonna be there. Or because I know I'm kind of making this change, that I was just gonna like not allow myself to buy certain things. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm not gonna be hard on myself about it, but like, girl, we're not gonna just look for stuff. You know what I mean? And I think it's okay to like buy fewer things, whether they're cheap or expensive, if you know that you are truly going to use them and it's going to be special to you. But I can look at many things in my collection and be like, girl, why'd you do that? Don't do it. I already did it. You know what I'm saying? So those are 7 things that I want to work on this year. I don't have like channel goals for subscribers or anything like that, because that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I have definitely become someone who is really inspired by makeup and beauty. I've become so passionate about it and just so appreciative. I like how makeup makes me feel. I love colors, like whether they're neutral colors or I just love creating different vibes. I love how makeup can just enhance the beauty that we all already really, really do have. And I'm not like saying that lightly at all. We are all so beautiful, and I just love how makeup can just take that to the next level. And I just want to continue to learn how to do that for myself. And none of that has anything to do with buying new makeup or buying a certain type of makeup. Like, as far as brands, it has nothing to do with it. I think it's just figuring out what works for you, whether it's luxury, whether it's drugstore, high-end, so Walgreens. I mean, a lot of my skincare comes from Walgreens, you know? Those are just goals that I have. Let me know what some of yours are, but I am going to end that video here. I've been very wordy on this channel lately, but I do hope that you can connect and relate to some of these thoughts that I'm having, because they are truly coming from the heart and things that I have just been pondering for some time now. So again, let me know some of the goals that you have, whether they're makeup related or not. I want to hear some goals where things like, we're not like setting these hard things. I'm not setting these hard things. I'm not doing that. I want to have discipline. I want to have accountability. And I want to, most importantly, out of all of this, is enjoy the beauty of what is in this collection that I already own. That's what I want to do. And so my goals are centered around getting me to be able to enjoy the makeup that I have. So that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me today. I do hope that this was therapy for you, because it always is for me. And until I see you again, make sure you are being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice. Stay safe. I'll see y'all really soon. Bye.